Have you ever mixed chili with cinnamon rolls in your own kitchen? Have you ever faked a southern accent just to fit in with the locals? Or have you ever pulled up some grass with your bare hands because you forgot to cut the entire lawn? Well, if so, then you just might be out of touch. Welcome in. Episode number 3 of Out of Touch. I'm your host, John Alden. Alongside with me, as always, Dustin Schutte and Mitchell Page. Doing that Bobby Renz intro today.
I like it. It's going to take me a second to get used to the walk-in.
Is it super weird, though? I mean, I know it's weird, but, like, does it make you uncomfortable?
No. But when I wasn't looking directly at you when you started, it just throws me a little.
It definitely is a weird thing to do, but I think I'm fine with it. I think it's unique, and I think it probably throws the listeners off, too. And if that's the case... And I mean, maybe that's part of the show, the brand of the show. I mean, we are out of touch. That intro is very obscure, I would say, and it's fun, unique.
Yeah. What's on the docket today, John? What are we talking about? What we got going on?
Hold on, I got a question first because
go ahead.
We've done this. I think every episode we've started with golf, so I'm going to have a golf question. Mitchell's wearing a Masters hat. Have you been to Augusta, or did somebody pick that up for you?
I went for the first time last year.
Oh, you lucky!
Yeah,
I got denied tickets for the. I've got denied tickets for the 15th straight year, so it's fine. I'm not jealous or anything.
So how'd you end up getting to go, Mitchell?
Yeah, I don't want to rub salt in the wound, but I already secured mine for next year.
Are you being serious?
He's got an in. He has to have an in, right?
This is ridiculous.
Yeah. They're secured. I'll send you pictures.
I didn't think you could take your phone.
No, you can't. But it makes you feel better when I say that.
The Masters?
What's that?
No.
You can't take your phone to the Masters?
No, they check. You leave it in the car. It's 12 hours or whatever it is.
They don't want people live streaming the putts and the swings and that kind of thing?
I think that's part of it, but there's a lot of it that it's just the tradition. They want you to be present in the moment, and it's different. I know that for the first 30 minutes, I was really anxious, which I hated. But then, I mean, I was out there for 12 hours, so 11 and a half hours, forgot the world existed. It was awesome. We sat right there on 15 green overlooking the 16, the par 3, and just in a really good spot.
I think part of it, too, is there's a mystique and a mystery if you haven't been to Augusta. And if you get enough of those viral videos that go, I think it kind of ruins that and it spoils the experience. So I think that's another reason as to why they don't allow phones. It's a good rule. I wish more sporting events would do that. I don't understand why they don't. But how many times do you see at the end of a tournament or end of a game or whatever, and it's just you just see a million phones instead of people actually just watching the game? As if you're not going to get that replay a million times.
Something that bothers me the most, and I mentioned this to somebody else before, and they said that this is an old man take, even though I'm 25 years old. They say my claim was that I really don't like when students in the student section record themselves storming onto the court, and all you see during the court storming is people with their phones up in the air running onto the floor.
Yeah.
And maybe that's an old man take. I don't know, but I think it looks silly. If you go back and look, and this isn't even that long ago, if you look at the Watford shot, and I hate that I have to bring up, I feel like anytime anyone brings up the Watford shot, they're just it's just a cringe moment. Why you got to keep bringing that up? But if you go back and look at the video of that, people aren't running onto the court with their phones in the air. That's all you see nowadays for court stormings.
You don't think the Watt shot is one of the top 3 moments of my life?
Oh, I mean, of my young kid life, for sure, for me. I agree with you. But it's so, when you're not an Indiana fan, and especially for me as somebody who's around a lot of Kentucky fans, being in Kentucky, I got shamed for bringing that up a lot. And maybe that's my own doing, and that's fine.
Yeah, just tell them to come back. Come back and try again.
True.
They refuse to try again
anymore.
So
that's true.
That's not our fault. That's the last thing they have for us.
I'm a little curious to know now. You've got a top 3 moments of Little John and a top 3 moments of Big John.
I didn't say I had top 3, did I? I just said it was one of my top moments of my young kid life.
I thought you said top.
I don't think I have them. If I did, I don't think I did. But if I did, I didn't mean.
He also called us old. I don't know if you noticed that. But
Well,
if that happened when you were
I'm
young,
25. I indirectly called you old.
yeah, because I was not young. I mean, I was young, but not like a little kid when that happened.
How old were you for the Watford shot?
I don't even know. When was that? 2010?
Well, no, it was 2012.
Okay, I was a senior in high school. Like,
wow. Okay, I was in middle school.
I was graduated from college by then. So thanks, guys.
It is weird being the young guy of the 3 of you. I don't feel like I'm that much younger than you all, and I also don't feel like you're that much older than me.
That's because your voice is just so deep.
That's
but
true.
I'm just talking about from my perspective. I'm not saying that I feel like my voice makes me feel that way. I don't feel like we're that far apart in age. But
here's what's crazy to me is that you're the youngest, and you're the only one of us who owns a house. Which is kind of backwards, but to each their own.
I forgot Mitchell didn't live in a house.
No, I don't live in a house. Not yet. We're moving to a house. That's some big news. I'm moving to Charlotte. Did I tell you guys that?
I think you mentioned it on one of the earlier podcasts.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
When we reconvened.
We submitted the application for a house just north of Charlotte, right by Lake Norman today. And then we're moving less than a month. I'm pumped.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
To being a new homeowner. Speaking of lakes, we're going to be talking about Lake Lanier here in a little bit. That is how you pronounce it, right, Dustin?
Lanier. Lake
It's
Lanier.
Lanier. Well, it popped back up in the news a few days ago. And I know that the Lake Lanier has a bit of a history of being I don't know if it's haunted or if it's just killed a bunch of people or what, but I wanted to dive into that a little bit. We'll do that here in a little bit later, though. I wanted to start off, though, with another homeless story. I believe I don't know if it was the first episode of this podcast or if it was the This Week in Indiana Football podcast where we announced Out of Touch. But I told the story about the naked guy in downtown Louisville and how he was walking across crosswalks and that kind of thing. Well, I had another experience on my way to work today. It was the opposite. Instead of going home, it was on the way to going downtown. And I don't know if this has anything to do with why this guy was doing what he was doing, but public schools in my area went back to school today, which is August 9th, the day of the recording of this episode. And whenever I was at one of the traffic lights, about ready to turn on one of the streets that I get on before I get to my work, there's a school nearby, and there's this big ledge right next to a bridge. And on top of this ledge, and this dude wasn't naked, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and say that. This dude wearing a wife beater was just standing on the ledge looking at all the cars going by, playing air guitar. And I'm not sure what the reasoning was behind this. I don't know if this dude was tweaking or if he was just having a grand old time, but I couldn't help but look.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
If you're not watching on YouTube, Dustin is he's already silent laughing, which is one of his trademarks. Whenever I don't know if he's uncomfortable or if he doesn't know how to respond.
I'm trying not to wheeze. No, because the mental image I have in my head is so unpleasant at the moment.
Yeah, you gotta stay away from the downtowns. That's what I'm learning quick. I'm breaking up fights. I sent you guys the video of that fight.
Yeah, we saw yeah, I was disappointed you weren't in the video. Yeah,
I know. I didn't get there in time. I was coming. I was in between them, hands separated. But you got to stay away. The world is this is old man stuff right here. I'm staying in the suburbs. People on drugs, running around, killing each other. I'm good.
Now, I live in the suburbs, but I work downtown.
I know. So I stay in the suburbs
every day.
Yeah, no.
And my goal on here, I'm not trying to bash homeless people, but I'm going to use them as content as long as they're not shooting up heroin in front of people or something like that.
There's a chance he was doing that.
He was, well, not publicly at least.
That's fair.
I like going downtown. Louisville, Indianapolis.
Now, Dustin, you were in Louisville recently. Did you spend much time downtown?
Yeah, I mean, we spent an entire day downtown, doing like different bars and stuff in different distilleries. So
I spent my 21st birthday on 4th Street.
Well, good for you.
We walked to 4th Street, and I was not impressed. We weren't impressed, I should say. Neither one of us.
Yeah, it's not anything to
sniff
your nose at. I'm pretty sure that's not the same, but
I'm just glad we didn't have a lick your chain moment. What I will say though is I think that if I was 21 like Mitchell was, I would think it was pretty awesome. Because it's everything you want, but at my age at 35, probably even at your age, John, 25, you're like, to hell with that. I just want to go and have a drink, have dinner, whatever the case might be, walk around, not be around the lunatics that are out at 4th Street past midnight. And then it's just like a bunch of like the reason I go to downtown places is because I want the unique restaurant or the go-to place or whatever. I don't need TGI Fridays or I don't need Chili's. And that's all that is pretty much just chain restaurants where you can grab a quick beer or burger or whatever and do whatever you're going to do on 4th Street.
Mitchell, what did you do on your 21st birthday at 4th Street?
We had some fun, I'll tell you that. One of my cousins was a bartender at what's the one where they dance on the bar tops?
Is it the Cowboy Bar?
Like the Coyote Ugly? Is that one down there?
It's not what it's called, but what is its name? It's the Cowboy Bar downtown.
Whatever it is. He was a bartender there. So me and like 10 guys from the team went down there basically for the night. And I don't think we got in until 7 a.m. It was two of the kids weren't 21, so they didn't come with us. I don't even know what they were doing, but if you want to talk about the age difference, I was pretty wild at 21. I'll tell you that. By 24, I was like, no, I would never go back there again. And I was still pretty wild at 24. So it's a bad place.
What did you do when you turned 21, John?
So I was down in Western, and we have this bar called Hilligan's. And when I say Western, I mean Western Kentucky University, WKU. And the only thing that I was truly concerned about was just ordering a legal drink and taking a picture in front of the sign that has the date on it that shows because it's your birthday at that time. I know it's very
not cliche at all.
Yeah, exactly. But that's who I am though. I've never been drunk in my life. When I drink, it's a couple of beers and/or White Claws, and I get sleepy, and that's really lame. But that's me.
Yeah, you're drinking the wrong stuff, is what I'm telling you.
But that's me though. I like to relax. If I'm having a White Claw or a beer out by the campfire in my backyard, listening to some, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the setting.
That's the setting. But my goal is to not drink so much where I'm pissing in the fire and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of chork and rally happening for me in college. Did you ever do that, Dustin? You just feel nasty in the bar, walk outside, unleash the demons, go right back in. We're back for round two.
I mean, I feel like apparently not John, but most people that have gone to college have done that. I was going to say my 21st birthday, I went down to Bloomington.
Ooh.
And I don't remember a lot of what happened from about 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. But I do know that about 11 p.m. to midnight, I lost the two friends I was there with. It was just three of us. We went to sports, which I know Mitchell would be familiar with. And this by the way, this was like graduation weekend. So most of the people there were townies. There were very few students on campus. So imagine sports with just a bunch of people from Bloomington, right? However, I found one of my friends. He was up against a wall, back up against the wall, hand on his head, like, I just want to go home. He was more drunk than I was on my 21st birthday. My other friend, as I was going to get him, I found him and was like, let's go back to your place. He was at IU at the time. Bumps into, I imagine this was somebody who played offensive or defensive line in Indiana. This dude had to be 6'6", 300 pounds, enormous. My friend is 6 foot and he's probably 155, 160 at the time. So bumps into him. The dude spills his drink. My friend yells at the giant and is like, why don't you watch where you're going? And I grabbed him and I could not have pulled him. I was like, dude, I love you, but if we get into a fight, you are on your own.
100%.
Like if that guy would have started it, then maybe I would have had your back. But I'm not getting involved with this, with you starting this fight. So we made it out safely, unscathed. But on my 21st birthday, I was the most sober person leaving sports in Bloomington.
That's like the either of you ever watched the show Community?
No.
Oh. Well, one of the actors is the rapper who's known as Childish Gambino. He plays a character named Troy. In one of the episodes, it's his 21st birthday, and that exact situation plays out. Everybody goes to hang out with him, gets drunk, and he realizes before he's able to order his first legal drink that he has to be the one driving everybody home. So,
last thing on drinking, I think you guys will appreciate this. Right the day before my graduation in college, I graduated in winter, so it's freezing outside. My mom was down there. She stayed the night. Everyone else was coming, like grandparents, dad, sister, everybody was coming the next day for graduation, but my mom came down one day early, and we went to Kilroy's. There was really nobody there, but we got there at like 7, expecting to leave at 9. We closed the place down. Had an absolute blast. I was supposed to be at the graduation, like we were going through this whole walkthrough. We were going to do all this stuff. Started at, I think, 8:30, not that early. And I didn't make it for that. Graduation starts at like 10:30, and all of the people walk in to sit down. There's however many, like 1,000 people graduating. As the last person is walking to the seat, I came running from behind. I was the last one into the graduation ceremony. Barely made it. Looked terrible. Didn't shower. Looked so bad. My mom was so mad at me.
Oh, man. It's your graduation, though.
That's what I'm saying. Right? That's what I'm saying. And I think, would we have played? I don't think we would have played in the Foster Farms Bowl yet.
I can't remember what day that bowl game was on, but I would assume that graduation would have happened before then.
Before then, right? Yeah, I think it was the 28th. So I think we were just getting ready to fly out to San Francisco. So this was going to be kind of my last hurrah in Bloomington, and spent it with my mom till 3 a.m. at Kilroy's. It was the best. I haven't thought about that night in forever. Oh my gosh.
That's what we do. We bring back memories here on Out of Touch. All right, let's go ahead and move forward. I mentioned Lake Lanier earlier, and I'm not sure how many people who listen to the show, watch the show, are familiar with Lake Lanier, but the only reason that I'm familiar with what it is because of people that I follow on Twitter, specifically people who used to work for Saturday Tradition, which is the site that Dustin Schutte used to work for. I believe, I can't remember the guy's name, but whoever the guy that was that worked for, his pinned tweet for a long time was this tweet about Lake Lanier. And it's, I guess, somebody who had done something, or something had happened to them there. And so whenever I saw this pop up, and again, saw this news story pop up on Twitter, I was like, well, I'm going to dive into this, because apparently this Lake Lanier thing is a deadly entity. So what happened about, I guess it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So July 7th, a man was electrocuted to death at Lake Lanier, and has sparked another intent about the lake's safety. Authorities responded to reports of a possible drowning. A 24-year-old was found unresponsive. And apparently officers said that the The person that ended up dying jumped into the lake from his family's dock. He screamed for help. A family friend went to grab a ladder to rescue him, and neighbors on a boat nearby also tried diving into the water and reported feeling a burning sensation when they reached their hand into the water and they realized that there was some sort of electrical power, which begs the question, how in the world does a natural, and I guess it's not natural, it's a man-made lake.
That's where you get to the foundation of why many believe it's haunted, because it was a community, and I could be misremembering this. I've looked it up a couple times, but I believe it was an old town, and I think it was a primarily African American community in which they displaced 250 families and 15 businesses and a couple, maybe even like 15 or 20 cemeteries, and built a lake. So it was a community that they decided that they were going to turn into a lake. And so a lot of people think that because they have done that obviously there's spirits or ghosts or whatever you want to say there. But I think the statistic now is that there's been more than 200 people that have died in that lake since 1994, 95.
Correct. I'm looking at that right now.
So I don't know why people still swim there. And this isn't just like people have accidents on the lake. Like some of this stuff is bizarre, like the electrocution thing. Like I think last year or 2 years ago, one boat, just the motor exploded and a person died. Like it's wild stuff. It's just, I don't know. There's lots of podcasts out there. I think they're coming out with a movie about Lake Lanier. Like I don't think it's a big time, probably like a Netflixy type thing, but if you go to Georgia and you're going to find a lake, just don't go to Lake Lanier. Lake Blue Ridge, much better.
So apparently there's a petition online that more than 6,000 people have signed to have the lake, I don't think dismantled is the right word, but essentially just condemned is, I guess, the best way to put it. I don't know how they would be able to execute that, if that would ever even realistically happen. But the person who started this petition is apparently the ex-wife of Grammy, I don't need to put this, of the artist Usher, the singer Usher. And apparently her son died at the lake in 2012 after some sort of watercraft was struck him, and the son was floating on an inner tube. I don't know if that has anything to do with the lake itself, but I don't know the story, but that's just what it shows on here. But I don't know. Just thought it was interesting. I didn't know if you knew any other stories, Dustin, or Mitchell, if you had ever even heard of this.
I hadn't, but I mean, just type it into Google and there's a zillion stories. And the movie comes out in October, Dustin. I just looked that up too.
Oh, wow.
There you go, Halloween.
This is pretty soon.
Yeah, the premiere is September 9th and then comes out in October.
Yeah, I don't.
3 recent deaths.
The movie looks terrible.
What?
Yeah.
The movie looks terrible, but I'm still going to watch it.
Do y'all watch scary movies?
I have a very specific type of scary movie that I like. I'm not into a bunch of them. I'll watch them, but I went through an obsession a while back where I was super into the Saw movies and I binged all of them. I haven't seen the 2 newest ones, which is the one that one of the newest ones is the one that Chris Rock is in, or not? Is it Chris Rock?
Chris Rock is in the Saw movie?
Yes. It's called Spiral from the Book of Saw. It's like a spin-off Saw movie, but it's still like in the same universe. And then there's a new one coming out. I don't think it's out yet, but there's a new one coming out that's more like a mainline Saw.
So I kind of like scary movies. They have to be, I don't know, they can't be too gruesome or gory. Like I guess thrillers. I'm not a big fan of thrillers, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to describe. I think what really disturbs me, so I don't like demons and stuff. So I'm not going to watch movies with like demons, like that stuff.
Like you don't like the Conjuring, that kind of stuff.
No, I've watched it before. I will not watch it because that stuff straight up freaks me out. I will not sleep at night, and I live in an apartment by myself with a dog who is scared of loud noises. But do you know what bothers me more about scary movies than anything?
What is it?
I'm like, how do people come up with this stuff? You know what I mean? Like, who came up with the idea of the Saw movies? Like, that stuff is very, like, you have to have a very weird mind, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe weird's not the right word. It's just like, because it is creative, it is entertainment, and I don't want to judge, like, quote unquote art. But it's like, some of the stuff is so disturbing. I'm like, how would you think of that? How does one
I know it
come
makes
to
you think,
this?
like, was the director, and again, we're not accusing anybody of anything. We're just talking hypothetically. Would a director of a movie like this is their outlet of getting out all of their thoughts of what they would want to do to somebody, but they can't?
I don't know. That's a good question. And like creativity comes in a lot of different ways. And a lot of times, whether you're a writer, a musician, director, a lot of that stuff, like there's some sort of trauma you go through or some sort of hard times. So I feel like it is an outlet. And I think I don't even necessarily know that it's poor intentions or like bad intentions. It's just their creativity is so much different than mine. And I just don't know how people come up with some of that stuff. It's wild.
Mitchell, did you say whether or not you like scary movies?
I used to. I've become a huge baby. I don't know what happened. I used to like roller coasters. I used to like scary movies. And now, man, I would rather watch Family Guy and sit on the couch. Like I don't even, it happened so quickly. I was watching, you ever seen, what's the one where it makes the kids do the murders? Sinister.
Oh, I was thinking of Children of the Corn.
No. Sinister.
The right answer.
Sinister came out when I was a freshman in college, and I know that because we went to go see it, and sleeping was absolutely out of the question for me after that. I would close my eyes, and Bagul was this guy's name. He had like this white and black face, absolutely terrified me. And my roommate didn't go to the movie, so he was just not afraid, obviously. He's just ready for bed. So I had to sleep in Briscoe. There's like two dorms with the little connector at IU with a couch. And I had to sleep in the middle room with the couch, like with the lights on. Because I couldn't.
Is that the same movie where with the lawnmower scene, the famous lawnmower scene? Okay.
And it runs over the guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. No spoilers, but yeah, when that lawnmower comes, get ready.
I've never seen that movie, but I've watched that clip, and the noise that the jump scare that they're trying to do with it was freaky, but maybe because I didn't get the context of what they were showing, it didn't freak me out the way that
the movie is very heavy. I think it's got mixed opinions. There's a lot of people that I've talked to that don't think the same way that I do. I think it's the scariest movie I've ever seen. And what's Ethan Hawke? Is that the guy's name? That's the main character? I think it is. He just does a really good job of making you feel like it's actually happening to him. I was totally immersed in the world, and the ending, it's not what you want.
Sometimes I don't know. I'll have to make sure if I'm watching that it's, when I'm in a good headspace.
I don't think I've seen it, and I kind of want to watch it, but I'm like you. I feel like what happens, Mitchell, because I used to be big time into like scary movies, horror movies. When you're on your own and you're like not at your parents' house anymore, there's nobody else around. It's just like, what happens if stuff goes awry here? Like, I am not fighting a ghost.
I guess I didn't think about that. Like in my case, when I'm thinking about myself fighting, I have been in a couple of fights in my life, and the only reason that they were not all losses is because I ran away. Like punch, run away. You got to use what you're good at, right? Like big, strong. Yeah, God gave me wheels, not big hammers. So I'm thinking if like this Bagul character like shows up at the house, No chance. My dad maybe could have fought him off or at least given me time to get away.
Right.
But now I got to be the guy, and I can't be the guy. I just can't.
Right.
I'll tell you what, and this happened to me last night. So I was going to sleep. I know it's weird that I have a story that kind of relates to something like this.
I like this.
Last night, as I was going to sleep, and I'd only been in bed for maybe not even 10 minutes. I feel what is kind of like a thump, or I thought it was a thump. And so I'm like, I'm going to get up and just see what's going on. And I walk out of the bedroom, and when I come out of the bedroom, so in the part of the house that I'm in, there's a bunch of doors that are also in the same little part of the house. I'll leave all the doors open. One of the doors leads to this room that I'm in right now, the office. And the computer screens were both completely on. And they're never on. They're always off whenever I'm not doing this. The computer's always on, like on standby, but the computer screens will only turn on if I wiggle the mouse or hit the space bar. And I hadn't used the computer since early in the day. And so when I heard that thump and walk out and see this, I had a little mini panic attack. And when I say mini, like, it's just one of those things where I'm sitting there like trying to think, did I come in and do something? Or am I completely is this just a weird coincidence? I'm still in the camp that it was a coincidence. I've never had any real ghostly experiences, but I've had weird things happen to me like that. And I don't know if you all think that that's even valid to this or not, but
it's valid because the other day I came out. So my apartments, I've got two stories I got to share on this. But so the first one is my apartment there. You can't turn the light on directly with the light switch. There's an actual remote that you have to click on. So the light switch has to be in the up position, and then you actually have to grab the remote, click on to turn the light on. And I turn everything off when I go to bed. And I had to go to the bathroom 10 minutes after I went to bed, and the light out here was on, and I know I turned it off. Now, logic would tell you that probably somebody in another apartment, either above me or below me, probably hit it, and it was just a little too close, and it signaled mine. But there also could be a ghost here. I don't know. The second thing is that the scariest experience I've ever had in my life. Have you guys ever heard of sleep paralysis?
It's the worst. Yes. Dude, I'm
okay. You haven't
thinking about it. Oh,
okay.
Oof.
I can't.
I didn't expect to have a Halloweeny style of episode today.
Oh gosh, that sent chills down my body thinking about it.
I cannot sleep on my back anymore. So this happened when I was in college, I believe, or just after. I was working at a restaurant, and I worked like 4 to midnight, and I had to make a lot of money, so I worked 6 nights a week. I was exhausted because it's in the middle of summer. It's 150 degrees in the kitchen. Like legitimately, we had a thermometer and it would read 150 degrees. And so I would just be totally exhausted. And there was one point where I think I had gone out with friends for a week. We went to a concert, a bunch of different stuff. So I was exhausted. I slept on my back. I woke up. My eyes are wide open. I can see everything. My body, John, cannot move. I'm trying to
conscious of that.
I'm conscious of that. I'm trying to move. I cannot lift anything up. I'm hearing noises. I'm hearing a door shut. I'm hearing people talking to me. I'm trying to scream. I'm trying to lift my arms and legs up. Cannot move anything. After what it was probably like 15 or 20 seconds, but what felt like 15 or 20 minutes. Finally, I kind of like jolted awake. I texted my friend right away, and I was like, dude, I'm pretty sure there was a ghost in my house, like just pinning me down. Like my house is haunted. I was convinced of this.
That's terrifying.
So have
you never had it, John?
If I have, it's not this.
And this is so, and a few days later, he was watching a special on like Discovery Channel or Learning Channel or something. And he was like, dude, I just saw this special. I think you had sleep paralysis. And what happens is a lot of times when people think they see, I don't know whether ghosts exist or not. I don't know. But a lot of ghost stories and a lot of people who think they've been abducted by aliens actually go through the sleep paralysis because you're conscious, but your brain is still like in dream mode. So it will create like there was one time when a bumblebee landed on my chest. There was no bumblebee in the house.
Almost like hallucinating in a sense.
Yes, yeah. That's a good way to describe it. Yes.
Every time I sleep on the couch at my dad's house in the afternoon, this happens to me. This has happened like 10 times. And I don't know why. My mind, I didn't really see anything, but I'm totally coherent. I know what's going on around me, and you just can't move. I'm sure you were screaming.
Yeah.
And you're letting out the softest little sound. Yeah. It's like barely even a sound. You can't open your mouth. But in my mind, I'm full panic. And I wake up. I don't even go back to sleep. Like I just wake up from this, and I can still remember everything. I remember the process of waking up, but I'm just sweating, and it starts like you move just a little finger or something. Oh, man.
See, okay, so
it's the scariest thing that's ever happened to me.
It is, but it's by far, it's the worst, because you panic. You feel like, and what I've read is, because I got to the point where it's like, am I going to die? Because it feels like you can't breathe either.
Yes.
And it's like you're actually breathing just fine, but your body doesn't recognize that you're breathing just fine. So, but what has happened now is when it happens, I recognize it, and I can wiggle my foot. I've got trained enough where I can wiggle my foot and I can wake up. That's how.
Wow. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I go full panic mode still every time. It's like it's the first time every time.
This. The closest thing, and I don't even really know if it's comparable. It really isn't. It's the only reason it's even close to the same vein is that this happened in a dream. And this was also fairly recently. I had a dream, and the only part of the dream that I still remember is I was in this room, and this machine that was in this room, there was a bunch of people in this room too. I recognized that this machine was about ready to explode. And so I'm like, we got to get out of here. I don't remember what the heck I said. But I run out of this room. The door that I open goes outside. I remember getting outside. I still hear the explosion. I still feel it. I like jump on the ground. And I remember just in the dream blacking out and like hearing a buzzing sound. And then from there, I get transported back to, reality and waking up in my bed. And it's one of those things, again, it's not sleep paralysis. I guess it's almost just like a nightmare. But when I woke up, my initial thought was, did I just have a seizure? Because of the way that I transitioned out of the dream. I've never had a seizure. I've never experienced seizures. And I don't think that that's what I experienced. But it was one of those things where it happened in the middle of the night. And I'm like, it took me some time to recover and get back to sleep from that.
I can imagine that. Yeah.
How about this paragraph on sleep paralysis? A sleep paralysis demon, witch, ghost, beast, or other ominous creature is a hypnopompic hallucination, sometimes specifically called the incubus phenomenon. The demons often take shape of childhood fairy tale villains. People can see a humanoid figure over them because of a momentary lapse in how the brain processes bodily perception.
Oh my gosh. To me, that makes sense, but I also don't want to believe it.
That is so freaky. All right, I'm going to tell a story that I was debating whether, and once we got on this topic and you talk about are ghosts real or not, this is like, if you don't believe in ghosts, I think you're crazy because.
Okay, good. I didn't want to be the only one. I believe in them too.
Yeah. So my mom lives in a 120-year-old farmhouse in Sheridan, Indiana. And I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, like where she lives. She lives in Sheridan. Yeah.
It's up to you.
Yeah, if you want to find her, she's out there. You just got.
She lives in Sheridan. Sheridan isn't very big either, so you can find.
No, there's like, yeah. If you were in Los Angeles, you could say Los Angeles. They'd at least take a couple weeks, but right. Sheridan, you could probably knock on the right door in like 2 days. She lives in this old farmhouse and used to be a school way back when, and there's just been a lot of history there, and there have been people that have died in the house, and when I was in high school, my parents split, and I lived with my dad, and my sister and mom lived out there. And they were telling me about some things that were happening out there. Like they had 2 sets of car keys and kind of out of nowhere, once my sister got out there, and my sister was about 13, like she's still not quite a teenager. She's still playful, youthful. Not that she's not at 18 or whatever, but you understand what I'm saying. So when my sister finally gets out there and has kind of ingrained herself in the house, right? She's there every day. All of a sudden, one set of my mom's car keys, you can't find it. They're gone. Can't find them anywhere. They're gone for a month and a half, and they're the spare set. Like, they're just gone. The spare set's just in a drawer. Like, you just can't find them. And she knows this because she had her keys in her purse, but couldn't find them in the purse. So she's like, I'll just take the spare. I have to leave. Can't find them. So then she's continually looking for these spare keys. Can't find them. Eventually, about a month and a half later, she can't find her regular keys. And she's like, man, the way she tells the story is so freaky. She's like, I was standing in the kitchen, and I was looking out the window, and I was like, I need to find my keys. I need my keys. So she goes, gets ready for work, and she comes back, and the keys are on the table.
Oh.
Like, they're on the table. So this is something that it was happening, like, a lot. There's this ghost. They did a lot of research on the house, and there was a girl that died. She was 11 or 12, something like that, of tuberculosis. Her name was Jenny, and she died in like 1910. And about the same age as my sister. And so my mom and sister, totally opposite of what I would have done. They think it's just a playful ghost, and she just wants to play like hide and seek. So they like are doing this. They're giving one set of keys. They're giving the ghost stuff.
What?
Crazy.
What? They played with the ghost?
Like, I don't think they ever saw the ghost, but they would like put the keys down, say, okay, these are yours. I need mine back. And then they would be swapped.
Are you
like dead? Oh. I'm dead serious, like crazy. So eventually we're like, we gotta try to talk to this ghost. So we don't have like a Ouija board or anything, but we have me and all my cousins get there, and essentially we're trying to talk to this ghost, which now that I've learned a little bit, is the worst idea possible. Like, you just invite all of these spirits. It's the stupidest thing ever. But we have all my cousins there, and apparently if you, like, the ghost can use your energy to answer yes and no questions or whatever. So, like, we all put our hands on this cup and start asking it questions, basically like, is there anybody else here? And the cup moves. And I'm here for this. I was there for this. And if anyone was going to be the one to push the cup, it was me. And I did not move the cup. I swear on everything, it was not me pushing this thing. We're asking, are you a little girl? Do you like to play? Are you this girl that died of tuberculosis? The cup moves. We lose our fucking mind, of course, panic. And like, she talked to the ghost out loud. The ghost wouldn't answer out loud, but it was there for like 5 years. I just stopped going out there because it scared me. And eventually they had a priest come and bless the house. And he walked in and he was like, I can feel the presence. There's somebody here. It's a good spirit, but yeah, I'm good spirit. And after that happened, there didn't really happen as much anymore, and nothing really happens to this day. But the freakiest part of all of it, because this happened, at least for me, the freakiest part, my entire senior year of high school, we started class in the morning at 7:50. And every day at like 8:35, somewhere between 8:30 and 8:35, I would hear Mitchell whispered to me every day for the whole year.
Are you serious? You're dead serious.
I swear. Every day.
Oof.
And as soon as the priest came, which was right before I went to college, it stopped. Now, there's probably an explanation for what was happening, but I know that this was happening in my head. I was there for the cup moving. Ghosts are real. That's what I can tell you.
I'll say too, since I'm the only one who hasn't said it outright, I do believe in ghosts and spirits and stuff too. I've never interacted with one,
Yeah.
at least not directly. Maybe I have and not known it. But
Well, it
if
sounds
I
like one
had
was
an
on your computer
experience like
yesterday.
that, do what?
Sounds like one was on your computer
Well,
yesterday.
that's what I'm saying. Like, and I've actually that's not the only, and not that it was a super weird experience. It's not the only weird experience I've had living in a house or living somewhere. But I've never had anything that's been continuous. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Like where there's a bunch of different evidence.
If you are Christian or Islamic or even, I think, Jewish, I'm not sure, but I mean, there's talk about ghosts throughout the Bible.
Yeah.
Like that, it's if you believe in God, you believe in the devil and you believe in spirits. You just have to. You can't shopping cart that. That's just the way that
it's
it
just
is.
Weird how they pick and choose who they select, and maybe it just depends on if you're invading where they're currently, resting, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Lake Lanier, 200 bodies, and they're moved. Hey, pup.
I think he's scared of the ghosts.
I'm telling you.
I did not anticipate the story about Lake Lanier to turn into not an entire podcast, but a good majority of the podcast on sleep paralysis and ghost stories. And it's not even Halloween. This is something I would have expected in October.
We can revisit it in October. So I have a very brief story. I don't think I have any others. But when I lived in Orlando, there was a lot of very weird stuff that happened in the apartment. Like you would just hear like doors shut. Like it's stuff that you could explain away. Like, oh, it was a draft. Oh, we left another door open or whatever the case might have been. But one thing that always creeped me out was when I would take a shower and, obviously then the mirror steams up, there would be handprints on the mirror.
Oh my gosh.
And the neighbors who, funnily enough, they were married. They were from Wisconsin and Minnesota. So Midwestern there, I got to know them very well. They're still good friends of mine. After I moved out of that place and I went down to visit them a year or 6 months later, they said, oh yeah, by the way, the guy who lived there before you died in that apartment, like a month or whatever it was, a couple months before you booked that place. So looking back, I was like, it was probably just, whoever lived here before me put their hand on it. But now after that, I was like, maybe things were happening in that apartment.
Isn't it funny how we try to rationalize everything?
Yeah, that's how I sleep at night, John. If I think there's a ghost in my house, I'm not sleeping for another 3 days.
And here's the problem.
I'm not sleeping tonight.
If we get off this recording and something happens again tonight, I'm immediately just going to be like, they were listening to me talking, and that's
that is,
and that's where we're at.
Yeah,
man.
Did you guys ever have like a weird house in your neighborhood growing up? Like the house.
You say weird, like one that looks haunted from the outside, kind of thing.
No, like So in my neighborhood growing up, there was a house right next door. And when I was growing up, the people that lived there were like our best friends from the time I was moved in at 3 or 5 or however old I was till about 12. And then they moved out. And towards the end of them moving out, they used to be like our driveways were this far apart from each other. The garage doors faced each other. Like when you were coming and going, you saw each other a whole bunch. And that little middle strip of grass, like we'd play football there, basketball court, all kinds of stuff. Like kids were out and about. And eventually, right towards the end, for no real apparent reason, they started just pulling in, going in the garage, shutting the garage door, and not talking to anybody. And that just continued to happen. Like the next people would move in. They would be cool for a year. And then the next year, they would just pull in, shut the garage door, never speak to anybody. And then they would move out. And then a new person would move in. And the same thing. Cool for a year, pull in, and they were gone. And I don't know. I still don't know why. That was in Foster Estates in Carmel. If anybody lives there, message me. I'll tell you where the house is. see if it's burned to the ground. It must be on like an Indian burial ground or something.
I was gonna say it sounds like Amityville horror stuff.
See, now I kind of want to watch a scary movie though. I can't even lie.
Well, you mentioned our listeners. I do want to go ahead and we got our early returns from our first episode since it's been a week since the opening release. Shout out to the 46 people who, and maybe it wasn't 46 different people, but it was 46 somethings.
46 times, baby. I was
shout out to all those who clicked on Spotify and or YouTube and gave us a shot, listened to our nonsense. I hope you keep coming back. On the day of this recording, episode 2 was just released. So as of right now, we are a week behind in terms of releasing. Maybe we'll eventually get to where we're releasing the week of. And I know we talked about, maybe it was off the air, we want to eventually do these things live. And I think that's something that we'll definitely try out down the road once we do enough of these and see what kind of interaction we get. And we'll kind of go from there. But what a fun episode. I didn't expect it to be a spooky type of episode, but it was fun.
I love it. I mean, we've hit all the bases in the first 3.
We have. It doesn't get any better than this. Shut it down. We are leaving on top. I mean, John came in with a plan, and we hit one of those items he wanted to talk about. But
that's actually fantastic. That's what I think you would agree. I want this podcast to be, yes, we'll have some ideas, and I want those ideas to just drive us down the road that is the rest of the episode. And I think that's what we had happen today. So hopefully everybody listening or watching enjoyed. Hopefully you keep coming back. We're going to keep coming back, whether you like it or not.
Yes.
Because that's what we're here for. We have fun. We also we're talking about ghost stories and recording, and it's almost 10 o'clock at night. So it adds to the spookiness factor of what's been going on tonight. So any last words?
I'm going to go watch a scary movie.
Yeah, Mitchell's going to watch a scary movie.
I'm going to be texting you guys all night when I can't sleep and have all the lights on in my apartment.
Put on Sinister. That's your mission for next time. Sinister. Doesn't have to be tonight, but
it will be during the daylight hours. I can promise.
Justin, you got a new lady friend. Pop it on. Pop it on. It's good for you.
We need to talk about that kind of stuff too eventually, but maybe we won't. We'll see if it comes up in conversation. But I think that's it's gonna wrap things up. Mitchell, I know you hate whenever I play us out to music, don't you? You don't like this, do you?
If you do it when you're talking, it's better because then I know what you're doing. But when I was midpoint and then you just yank me off stage, yeah. Although my wife said I was big time overreacting, which I definitely was.
Oh man! Thanks everybody for listening. For Mitchell, for Dustin, this has been Out of Touch.